From Cornwall to Birmingham and Johnston and Bexhill, here's Ruben Spire on the radio.
Hello to Sam Brace. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for letting me chat to you today. So, I'm going to take you back when you first started Sam Brace. Can you tell me when did Sam Brace first started?
When did Sam Brace first start? Well, as a musician, a long time ago. So, after college, I went to college in Greenwich in London in the 90s, late 90s, finished in 1999. And when I was at college, I met a few very dear chums who are still very close to me now. And those people, I've been playing music with those people ever since, until quite recently. So initially, I was in a band called The Alps, which was sort of a bit of a buzzy band in the early noughties. We played XFM live sessions, played reggae festivals, did some tours in Europe. And then that kind of came to a close, and the same people, then started a band called Skinny Lister, which has been the core of my musical work, I suppose, over the last 12 years. And people like Daniel Heptonstall and Max Thomas, who I was at college with, are the sort of other founding members of that band, and they're still going strong. But that band took us around the world. We did the Warped Tour in 2012. We played many festivals, Glastonbury like 5 or 6 times, and Festival we did Download in Paris, France, and Japan, Asagiri Jam, and all kinds of other places. Sold out shows in Tokyo and Osaka, and we played every state in the USA except for 3, I think it is. And done headline tours, toured with bands like Frank Turner and Floggy Molly, Dropkick Murphys, and it's been an epic journey. And now I moved to Greece just at the start of the pandemic, and my partner Eva is Greek, so we thought we'd move to Greece and wait it out for 3 months, and then turned into 4.5 years. So we're still here, but that sort of helped me realize that although I was loving being a Skinny Lister, what I always really wanted to do was try something on my own. So then Sam Brace, as an artist, as a solo artist, sort of came out of that, and being in Thessaloniki has helped me sort of really, it sort of focused the mind. So I wrote an album with a friend of mine who's also, in the pandemic, I got back in touch with a very old friend of mine who was interested in trying to do some solo sort of stuff together, or write some songs together. He hadn't done anything for years. And I was looking to do something new, so we sort of got this writing partnership together, which we then produced the first album, Fever and Bones, and now a few years later, we released the first album. Then I had a break in 2022 after a bit of illness, but now we've just put a live band together, and it's now called Sam Brace and the Merciless Bronze, and the band will be going on tour this year, hopefully around Southern Europe, but also hopefully try and get to the UK as soon as we can, really. So going to record some new music as well, and that's kind of it in a nutshell, I suppose.
So can you tell me more about your debut single called Panic?
Panic. Yeah, so Panic was the first song we wrote actually together, me and Ad. And I basically, after we did 4 songs, I got quite excited and thought, oh, you know what, I really think these songs are pretty good. So I sent them to a few old contacts, and one of those guys sent it to a small record label in the US, and they were like, yeah, we should just release this as a single. We really like it. So a company called Stay Free Recordings decided that they would do a 7-inch vinyl version of Panic, and that sort of like launched me as a solo artist, I suppose. At that time, it was really exciting to have an actual physical thing made from a song that we'd written. That's although Skinny Lister have released many albums, and we've done all kinds of stuff, to actually have a song that I'd written um, become a real thing was really exciting. So yeah, yeah, that really sort of kicked things off, laid the foundation for the album to follow. Then Fever and Bones came out a bit later, and yeah, and then I sort of been working towards getting a band together so I could present those songs um, in a sort of a full way that they should be presented, and not just me and an acoustic guitar. Um, and that's sort of where we're at now. So yeah, Panic, yeah, it's still probably one of the best songs that we've produced, and it was the first one that came out. So yeah.
So, can you tell me more about a single that's called Ultraviolet?
Ultraviolet, yeah, that was a sort of a later one. And what do you want to know about it?
Um,
What was probably It's probably one of my favorite songs on the album, actually. Ultraviolet. It's about, I don't know if you've ever been to Hastings before, have you? You know Hastings?
Heard of it, Hastings, yeah.
Well, obviously Bexhill is next to Hastings. There's a club in Hastings called the Crypt. When I was a kid, we used to go down there without fail, every weekend, like, multiple nights. And basically, it's about being down in the crypt, and having an encounter with a lady, probably. Yeah, so it's a very nostalgic song, and I think that sort of really comes through with the sort of emotion that's in not only the lyrics but the sort of the music. And it's quite a slow and powerful track, with this sort of sweeping guitar sound is quite, I don't know, it's quite nostalgic to me anyway. I imagine that anyone who listened to rock music in the 90s would have a similar sort of emotion when listening to it, perhaps.
So,
Yeah.
can you tell me about your debut album called Fever and Bones?
Fever and Bones. Yep. So yeah, like I say, we started doing the sort of solo project, me and Ad, at lockdown. Basically, 2019 came to an end. Skinny Lister finished playing the last tour that we played before lockdown, which was the Interrupters in Canada. And flew back to England, did a 2 week tour of England, of the UK, and then COVID happened. So and then the first lockdown happened pretty quick after that, I think. And I started chatting with Ad just out of the blue, really, I suppose. He was just talking about, he sent me a video of him playing a Long Pigs track. It was I can't remember which one it was now. He'll kill me. It'll come to me in a sec. But I was like, oh, it was so funny to see him play guitar after I hadn't spoken to him for like 20 years or something ridiculous. And he's like, oh, well, we just got chatting about doing some solo material, and if I'd been thinking about doing some songs, because I always used to talk about doing stuff on my own, and then hadn't ever got round to it. And then with the enforced time off from touring, it just sort of, we started to send each other a few ideas, and Panic was the first thing that came. And then and there was also another guy, actually, because neither of us had a bass guitar at home. So we asked Ad's friend Toby to sort of help us out on bass. So the first four songs were the three of us, and then after that, about after the fourth song and the first lockdown was about to happen, then I escaped to Greece just before it happened, and I bought a bass guitar as well. So then, so then I started doing the bass lines as well, and it was just me and Ad for the rest of it. And so yeah, Fever and Bones was all recorded in Thessaloniki in my old flat. I built like a little sort of vocal cabin studio thing with like surrounded by duvets and mattresses, and just the whole thing was recorded in the flat, basically, apart from the drums, which were recorded by Tom, who was we programmed all the drums for the album, and I wanted a live drum sound, so I commissioned our old drummer for Skinny Lister, Tom Mills, and he had a garden studio where he recorded drums. So I'd send him the tracks and the programmed drums, and he would basically play along and record the live versions. So then he'd send them back, and then I'd sort of remix everything so everything lined up. And we did that with every single track on that album, and that was sort of how Fever and Bones came together. So it was I'd never done more than a couple of tracks on my own before, so it was a real sort of uh, a learning curve, a very steep one. But I also worked with a producer as well. So one of the guys who worked on Skinny Lister's third album, Ed Ripley, he helped us sort of shape the sound of the songs and really improve what I managed to capture to a sort of more professional level. So then it became like an actual album that we could release. And yeah, so it came out in 2022 or 2021. And then yeah. So it's been a really nice thing to sort of work on, have, and then sort of build from. So, and then my sort of big issue was I didn't have a band, so I couldn't really present the songs in the way that I'd love to have presented them initially. But so I then sort of reverse engineered every song so I could play it just me on an acoustic guitar, and did a few shows in Greece, and then I did a small tour in the US in February 2022, from San Francisco down to Austin, Texas, with a few other bands, and which was really, really fun. But it really made me feel that I wished I had a band, and I really wanted to present the songs that we created, because they are full band sounding songs. So it needed the band, which we have finally now got. So we did our first show in November last year as the Merciless Bronze, and hopefully we're going to do a bunch more this year too. So see how we go.
So it must have been quite hard during COVID times being a musician.
Yeah, well, it was very difficult for most of us. For all musicians, there was a lot of online shows happening, and like sort of ways of trying to generate money for teams and stuff. And I was quite lucky because when I have been on tour historically, I've always had freelance work on the side as well. So I always knew that as if I wanted to be a full-time sort of touring musician, I always needed to have another income, because you just can't live off the money that a small to medium-sized band can generate. So you might earn, I don't know, £200 or dollars a night at a show, and then your per diems, what have you. There's not much left after the tour budget has been sort of like, I don't know, decimated. So I always knew that I needed to do some other stuff. So I always had like a remote job, I suppose. And I still do the same thing now while I'm trying to do music. So yeah, very difficult.
But you earn a penny somehow, I guess.
Yeah, where there's a will, there's a way, basically. So I mean, I back in the day when I was in Skinny Lister, it got to the point where I actually took a year out from Skinny Lister in about 2014, I think. Because I couldn't afford to be in the band. It was just like it just could not work. So at that point, I'd had pretty much a full-time job up to then as well. So like I was sort of trying to juggle everything. And I just realized, you know what, I can't go on tour and have an office job. It's not going to work. So I quit for a year, and then sort of worked on building a remote. I guess before anyone really thought about remote work, I sort of begun trying to do a freelance thing for what I was doing, and managed it. And then so the year, maybe 18 months later, I got back in touch with the band and said, look, guys, I can now work from tour bus, so I can probably come back if you'll have me. And I really wanted to go back, because I felt like I didn't want to leave first time round. So I went back, and it was the next 8 years, I guess. So yeah, so much fun.
So can you tell me more about your single? It's called We Go High.
We Go High. So We Go High is the first track from the new EP. So after Fever and Bones, I had a little break. I got really ill after the tour. In fact, it was before the tour. I had a serious illness, and I had to sort of like try and get over it. After the tour, I was so tired. I couldn't do anything for like about a year after that. So I had like 12 months off, and then really, really, really realized that I missed it more than I just hadn't. I'd so focused on sort of getting better that I sort of didn't see the wood for the trees. But then when I felt like I'd emerged from the sort of illness cloud, I just got really excited about writing again and making music again. And we wrote 4 songs, which were We Go High, Collide, Graceless, and Diesel. And these 4 songs make up the EP that we're sort of working on now. We're trying to release now. So We Go High is it's sort of a different sound to a lot of the other songs, I suppose. It almost, I don't know, it's been compared to like Megadeth and Metallica and stuff, and I don't think it is quite that, but I really love the sort of heavier sound of it. It's sort of I know it's one of my favorite songs we've put together so far. It's sort of it's about someone who's sort of living their life through social media, and you having had a relationship with this person, realizing that it's a really bad thing, but then sort of reminiscing about it after it's been finished and remembering the good stuff as well. So it's sort of a joyful song, but it's also got some very dark notes in there. But yeah, it's one of my favorites, I think, that we've done as well. So if you've not heard it yet, check it out.
So after this intro, we're going to play Graceless. So can you tell me more about that?
So yeah, Graceless, we just let that released that one in November, and we've released it with a video which has some footage from our first live show that we did in Quao. And again, it's sort of like an upbeat number. All of the 4 songs on the new EP are sort of more upbeat than most of Fever and Bones. So I wanted to have a concerted effort to sort of make it more uplifting, especially like coming out of the illness thing. It was like sort of an explosion of positive vibes, I suppose, rather than more introspective and more dark. I guess there's a lot of darkness on Fever and Bones. There's some light as well, but I think the EP definitely is a bit more uplifting, shall we say. So Graceless, it's about someone who's like so super full of themselves, and I think so my writing partner Ad writes a lot of the lyrics, so it's sort of like it sort of almost comes from him, and I have to sort of reinterpret what he's got there. So it's almost like I think it's sort of him feeling he's too full of himself, or perhaps I'm too full of myself, and realizing that you actually have no grace about you whatsoever. And yeah, that's kind of it, really. It's a real great track. It's again probably my second favorite on the EP, and I hope you guys like it too. So
Kingston, what was it like being a independent artist for you?
Well, it's really difficult, actually. So, having been in bands for years and always had like a team and been able to rely on record company support and all that sort of thing, it's sort of weird, but also it's been like I said earlier, it's like quite a big learning curve, like learning to do all of the things that you sort of took for granted before on your own. So you have to become a videographer and a graphic designer and a record label and a video, like I say, an editor and a mixing engineer and a producer and everything. And you have to do absolutely everything. And that in itself is pretty cool, but there is quite a lot of work involved, more than one probably anticipated. Also the social media side of it as well is like particularly grueling. So I love being creative and I love doing all the creative stuff and making something, and then actually like having, I've got a copy of the EP here. So, there's like when you've got an actual vinyl record that you've made yourself, you've designed the cover and everything is, you can hold it in your hand. That's like, it feels like an achievement, like it's a real thing, from the, you've conjured into existence, which is great. But not being able to sort of connect with, I don't know. It's like we have a fan base, right? There are people out there who are interested and excited and stuff. But when you have a bigger label, it feels like a lot more. There's a lot it's a lot easier to sort of generate noise, I suppose. And like they can have money to invest on posts or social posts or whatever it is, other marketing that I can't do. You know, it's like I can't, I can't afford to invest all of my money into everything. It's just so really it's sort of like a labor of love initially, until we get to the point where it can actually support itself. And I'm really hopeful that that point is coming soon.
Soon.
Yeah, because I love it so much, but yeah, it's the amount of stuff that you have to go through to sort of make it work is astronomical, really. So, but yeah, we're doing our best, and I really hope that things are going to sort of take off a bit over the next few years.
So, finally, can you tell me, listeners, where can you find the Sam Brace and the Merciless Bronze socials, please?
So Sam Brace and the Merciless Bronze, you can find us pretty much on every platform you can imagine. I mean, the best thing to do really is just to Google Sam Brace or sambrace.com, and all the links are there. You know, we're on YouTube. There's some TikTok videos, although I haven't really focused on that, but Facebook, obviously, Instagram, and all of the usual places, Bandcamp, and you can buy vinyls from sambrace.com or from Bandcamp. We've got t-shirts, we've got it all, really. It's all there ready to go. So yeah, we just need to get on tour and sell some stuff, and hopefully make some new connections. So yeah, that's what we're going to do this year.
I wish you best of luck with all of that. Thank you for letting me chat to you today.
Thanks for having me on the show, Ruben. Yeah, hopefully we'll do it again sometime.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, my friend. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.